and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'm going to give you guys an update on my Syzygium Bonsai here and also carry out a bit more pruning, a bit more wiring. I'm just going to slowly try and get it a little bit more like a tree. So this is quite a new bonsai for me. I've only done one video of this so far, and as you saw on that one, it would basically just somebody had pruned it into a ball shape just to kind of keep it like a lollipop kind of ball shaped tree. Didn't have any nice branch structure. All the branches were coming up and then they were capped off. And I'll show you a picture now of what it used to look like. So I showed you a picture there of what it used to look like and also what it was like after I first pruned it. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of growth. It has grown quite nicely, and it's putting a second flush of growth out now. You can see that's why you've got these kind of bronzy coloured leaves on the top. So it's done quite well. As I say, it has put on a lot of growth. It's probably been about a month and a half, maybe 2 months since I pruned it, and it's definitely put on a lot of growth. So I can now see where I want to prune, what branches need to be thinned out. There's certainly a lot going on in the middle here, so I'd like to prune that out somewhat, thin it out. Also, these lower branches I was keeping, thinking I might keep them, but I'm actually going to prune them out. Sometimes I keep the lower branches to increase the taper on the tree, but there's already a bit of taper on the tree, so I'm not too worried about increasing that. So I'm going to actually remove these two lowest branches now. So that's those two removed. I don't want to take any more off because that's quite a nice clear bit of stem we have there. I might at some point in the future take off these kind of old stumps back a little bit further, but I'll keep them for now. They might add a bit of interest, so I'm not going to remove them at the moment. So the only other thing I'm wanting to do is a little bit of pruning. I'm just going to tweak some of these wires down a bit more. Most of these older branches at the bottom have been wired in my last video, and they've moved ever so slightly, so I'm just going to bend them down a bit more, make sure they're in the position that I was looking for. So looking around, most of this side of the tree is nice and open. The branches come out and then the little side branches grow up. I will be doing a little bit of pruning on them just to stop them getting too long and then cover some side branches. But this middle section here is really congested, so I'm wanting to thin this out. Also, this side branch here needs to be brought down slightly to give a bit more space at the top. So I'm going to start off by wiring in this slightly thicker branch here. So that's it now wired in, and I can just kind of bend this down as I'd like it. So that gives a bit more space here, takes it down, makes it a bit more natural, because in a normal tree, not every single branch grows straight up from the trunk. That's what these were like originally. A lot of these side branches were just going straight up, but the wires have brought them down nicely. Now there's not been too much secondary thickening yet on the branches, so I don't need to worry about loosening off the cables. But I have got a lot of wires on this, so I need to keep quite a close eye that the wires don't start to dig into the trunk at all, any of the stems. So this bit's looking a lot nicer now. It's a little bit congested here and there, and some of these shoots are quite long before they branch, especially this one here that I wired in earlier. So that one's definitely going to be nipped back, encourage some more side branching. But the next section I'm looking at is this top bit. It's really quite busy, there's a lot going on, and the branches are all kind of coming out of different areas. So looking here, you can see this side one here is coming out on its own. I don't mind that one, I'm probably going to keep that one there. But this top section, there's lots of branches going on, and I actually want a lot less growth at the top, because in a normal tree you have a thinner trunk at the top, and if they have all these strong branches coming out, it's just going to give more and more strength to the top here. This is going to remain quite a thick trunk, and it's not going to weaken and become thinner over time. So I'm going to thin out these ones here. You can see there's a lot of branches. I'm probably going to take this one out here because there's a very similar one nearby. Same on this side, there's a lot of branches going on. So I'm just going to thin this one out here, just kind of weakening the plant. I don't need this many branches in the middle here, it's too thick. And same here, I'm just going to give that a bit of a trim. So what I'm going to do now is actually reduce the height of these. So these are too long, I want them to be a lot shorter because I don't want the tree to get really, really tall. And you can see the kind of rounded shape that's going on here. These are a lot taller than that. So I'm simply just going to get the scissors and cut them off just above where I pruned them before and see what that kind of height looks like. So that height's about right, I think. What I will do though is I will take some of these down a bit, because there's a bit of a gap you can see down here where I pull the lower branches down. There's now a gap between that and these branches here. Also, these branches all they grow out from one point and they all stay together. I want them to branch out, give them all a bit more space, and it kind of look a bit more natural. As in a tree, when branches grow, two branches grow next to each other, they naturally try and find the light, so they don't grow parallel with each other and close to each other, they grow apart. So that's what I'm going to be trying to achieve here. So I'm just going to pull it out slightly there. This one right in the middle, I would like this to kind of branch and have two coming out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this really quite low down, and that should encourage it to branch a bit further. So I'm just going to cut it here. There is a chance that could completely die off, but this is quite a strong plant, and the previous small stems that I've cut hard in the past have all branched quite nicely. I'm hoping that one will branch and I can have one coming this way and the other one going the other way. And then the only other section here is there's quite a lot going on with this side branch here. But this side branch could be pulled down to look a bit more natural, so I'll just do that now. That one's filling that space slightly nicer. And these ones at the top, they're not looking too bad at the moment. Again, I would like them to branch a bit further. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut them quite hard, encourage some further branching, and that should fill in that space quite nicely. This one here as well, I'm just going to take a little bit more off the top there because I'm actually not quite too happy with the height of that. It does look quite drastic now, but that should re-sprout quite nicely. And that's most of the branches pulled down. This one here, there's a lot going on, so I'm going to see if any of these branches need wired or removed, in fact. So we've got some here that need to be pulled down just a little bit more. They are fully wired. I'm just going to go around now, put anything that needs to be pulled back down, and just thin any that needs to be thinned as well. That's starting to look a bit better. I'm just going to go around the edge now and trim off a lot of this new growth. That will encourage some more side branches to form. So I think that's about as much pruning as I need to do today. I'm quite happy with how that's looking at the moment. There's definitely a lot more side branches than there was previously, and there's been quite a lot of side branch formation because of all the pruning I've done in the past. So this should also encourage more side branching. I'll have to watch out. I might have to thin some of this if it becomes too dense, but at the moment it's looking quite nice. I think what I'd like to go for is a really dense canopy. Part of me likes it quite sparse because you can see the branch structure nicely. But on the other side, if it's nice and dense, it does look a bit more like a natural tree. So I'm kind of not fully decided yet if I want to have it as a really dense canopy or to have it a bit more sparse so you can actually enjoy the actual structure of the branches and that. So that's looking certainly a lot better than it was before. I'll just do a little bit more tweaking as time goes on and a bit more pruning. But I'm quite happy with that at the moment. It's certainly looking a lot more like a natural small tree. So as I say, I'll give you guys an update in probably a couple of months' time when this is put on a lot more growth again. I'm just going to keep doing a similar thing each time, just tweaking the branches, wiring in some new ones, and just making sure it doesn't get too tall. Because naturally, this is going to want to put most of the growth on the top, because in the wild this could grow into a much taller plant. So I want to keep trimming the top quite hard, kind of spreading out the branches a bit wider, and every time it puts on some good new growth, just trimming all over. And that will encourage more side branching, because this doesn't naturally side branch that easily. You can see, for example, this here. Naturally, it grows quite long shoots. It doesn't side branch very often. This one you can see was cut in the past back here, and it grew side branches. I think I had actually cut this also here, but not all of them grew side branches, just the one in the middle. So you can see this one here just kept growing straight after, so did this one, but this one in the middle did actually put out 2 new shoots instead of the 1. So it had a bit of extra branching, and that's what I'm wanting to encourage, because what you want is as the branches come out from the tree in the wild, what would naturally happen is it would start branching out further side branches, and you start with one main stem towards the trunk of the tree, and then it fans out into hundreds of small little branches. So that's the effect I'm going for. With this plant, as I say, naturally it kind of wants to grow up in bunches like this, where they all grow parallel to each other, which doesn't look so natural. In the wild, as I say, they kind of fan out and try and stay away from each other so they don't get shaded out. So I'm wanting to encourage that a bit more, and that's what I'll be doing with all the tweaking over time. And that's it for this video. And as I say, I'll give you guys an update in probably about a couple of months' time.